They say the wilderness is merciless, that the creatures who live there are ruled by instinct, not feeling. But on one frozen morning in Alberta, Canada, one man witnessed something that shattered everything we thought we knew about animals. It didn't come with a roar or a growl. It came with a knock-soft rhythmic pleading. Jake Logan had lived in the forest for most of his life. A quiet man with deep eyes and a deeper love for solitude, he had built his cabin with his own 2 hands on the edge of the boreal wilderness, where the trees were thick, the rivers ran cold, and the land told stories older than Tra. Memory. He wasn't one for drama. He didn't watch the news, but what happened that morning would change him forever. The sun hadn't yet crested the trees when Jake woke. His cabin creaked in the bitter cold, and for a moment, he thought the groan came from the forest itself. He reached over to the small wood stove and tossed in a few logs, his fingers stiff from the chill. Then he shuffled to the window and squinted at the thermometer bolted to the porch. 45 degrees C. He blinked. Was it broken? He tapped the glass. The red mercury line didn't move. Outside, the world looked like it had been frozen in time. The trees were stiff with ice, their branches unmoving. The grass, what little, poked through the snowlote like crystal blades, sharp and glinting in the faint morning light. Jake shook his head and mumbled, "Coldest I've ever seen." He poured himself a cup of coffee, black as the sky before sunrise, and walked toward the TV, flicking it on for the weather report. But a strange sound distracted him, a thud, faint but distinct, against the window pane. He turned slowly. His mug slipped from his hand. It shattered on the floor. Standing at the large front window, eyes locked onto his, was a massive grizzly bear. Jake's breath caught in his throat. The bear's fur was thick with frost, sparkling in the dawn light like a living sculpture. Her face was pale from the frozen breath, and her body heaved, slowly exhausted, yet deliberate. But there was something Jake didn't expect. No rage, no threat. Just eyes. Eyes filled with something unmistakable. Fear. And something deeper. A plea. Then she lifted her paw and gently tapped the glass again. 1, 2, 3 times. Jake stood motionless, unable to move. Behind her, the snow swirled like smoke, and then he saw them. 3 small cubs, huddled together near the porch. One lay flat in the snow, its body twitching faintly before falling still. Jake's heart stopped. The mother turned to her cub, lifted it in her mouth with a tenderness that cracked something deep inside Jake and brought it closer to the door. Then she looked up at him again. Her breath fogged the glass. Her eyes never blinked. She was asking for help. Jake backed away from the window. His mind raced. Was this some sort of trap? A trick of instinct? No. He had seen wild animals in distress before. Wounded wolves. Frozen deer. He'd even once watched a moose give birth in silence from a distance. But this was different. This wasn't instinct. This was intention. With shaking hands, Jake grabbed his parka and boots and stepped to the door. He cracked it open. The wind tore through the gap like a blade. Snow flurried inside, but the bear didn't budge. She only stepped forward and placed the cub gently on the wooden step, then stepped back. The cub didn't move. Its breaths were shallow, a whisper of life left. Jake crouched. He could feel his own pulse pounding in his ears. Then he reached out. His hand touched the cub's fur. It was stone cold. He lifted it slowly, and in that moment, the mother bear let out a deep exhale, almost like a sigh of relief.